So I'm just going to show you a few of the basic things that you can do in here. We'll start with some of the settings. So this obviously brings you to the canvas. The collaboration is only used for print and cut. Once you click on it, it'll bring up instructions on how to do it. And then down in these settings, this is really all you'll need as far as settings are concerned. You go into canvas. This will put a full grid, a partial grid, and no grid. I have no grid here. I don't like having those extra lines there. The partial grid does this way so that it has like the bigger blocks, and the full grid is all of the smaller lines as well. I always stick with empirical instead of metric. The load type, I have mine as Cricut Explorer family because I have the Explorer 2. I always do my 12 by 12 mats because that's the only mats that I really have. I'd like to get one of the card mats, but I don't have one yet. And then the print and cut is usually an 8.5 by 11. One of the first things that I figured out, because I like to print out things that are words, one of the best places I have found is dafont.com. It's up here, dafont.com. You can pretty much pick anything that you want out of here. I actually kind of like this one, so I'm just going to click on download. And it's going to take me up into here. Make sure that you're finding a place to put everything. I have all of my stuff, as you can see, kind of put into different folders. These are for my fonts. I put paid fonts into this folder. This is just a regular font. Dafont.com, to my knowledge, everything on here is free, so you won't have to worry about paying for anything. Some of the fonts you might have to pay for in other places, and I can kind of show you some of those other ones too here in a minute. So once this is done downloading, you're just going to show it in the folder, double click on the zip file, and then find true type font or open type font. It doesn't really matter which one. They're basically the same thing to my knowledge from everything that I've seen. And then you're just going to click on install. It's going to do this little thing here, and then it's done installing. I usually go in once I'm done with that and delete the zip file because you don't really need it once it's downloaded. And then I have down here a little character that or character map that has all of my fonts in it. And the cool thing about this one, which I think I got online, and it's just called character map, this is the little symbol down here for what it looks like, is that you can kind of save everything into different categories. So like I have a bunch of different categories, so if I want like something that's Christmassy or Halloween, or I have a lot of the stuff from like TVs and movies, Tinkerbell and Nightmare Before Christmas, stuff like that. So that's kind of how you can do that. If you're looking for something particular, like if I'm wanting specifically to find a Peter Pan font, I usually put free download just so that I can make sure that I'm getting something free. Doesn't always work out that way, but sometimes you'll get a free one. So these are some of the like free-fonts.com, fontspace.com. I don't think I've ever seen anything with this one before, but you're going to kind of go in and look and see. Some of them will have some extra stuff on there that you don't necessarily want, so you got to kind of look down through and see. Like this is, oops, ads. This is called Walter, and that's what it's going to look like. You'll just click download here, and it'll do that. Some of them, let me get back into this. Say we want a Disney font. A lot of these kinds of fonts are going to be, you're going to have to pay for them. And when you go in, it'll kind of tell you usually if you have to pay for them or not. These seem to be free. If you go into something like this, obviously you're going to have to pay for it. It's got this thing on the back here that usually indicates that you're going to have to pay for it. So you kind of go into here and it'll tell you what you need to do, or if you need to pay. I guess this one is free. That's kind of nice. Might actually download that one too. Okay, so then it's gonna, this one kind of brings you into this thing and does this whole thing. So, but yeah, you just kind of look through, figure out what kind of fonts you want, and click the font, download it, and then install it on your computer once you've done that. So that's all for fonts. And then when it comes to actually using the fonts, so basically you're going to go in and you're going to type in, let's say you're just saying hello. So something like this is just going to be very simple. Again, over here in my character map, I have a thing that says Cricut writing, because there is some of these that you can write with and some that you can't write with, and the writing ones usually cannot be used for cutting because they're too small. If you have Cricut Access, which I did have at some point, you have access to pretty much all of these, and you can come over here and filter it. If you're looking for something specifically for writing, it'll filter out the ones that write better. You're looking for just free stuff, it'll give you all the free stuff that's on Cricut. I usually go into System because that's where all of the things that I have in my character map are going to be. Unfortunately, you can't choose, writing or whatever, which is why I have it in here, but you can kind of look through and see, like, this is a little bit thinner. This is from Charmed. It might write okay, there's probably still going to be some spots in the inside. So if you're wanting to write, you just go in and click on pen. This is what it's going to look like when it writes it out. Obviously, you can go in and fill that in when you're done, or if you want to just leave it like that, that's fine too. If I'm wanting to cut something instead of writing something, and I'm wanting something that is script, here's something quick that I did not know. I think this is probably my favorite font to do this with. Chocolate is a really good font that looks really, really nice when you cut it out. The thing is, though, when you go in to do a font that is connected like this, or pictures that are connected like this, you have to weld them. They're not always, this one actually worked out kind of perfectly. They're not always going to work out perfectly like this. Sometimes the letters are too close together, so I'm going to show you kind of what happens if you have them too close together or not close enough. So we'll say we wanted to make it look like this instead, and you click weld. That one actually worked out kind of perfectly. We're going to undo that then. If you hit Control Z, that undoes whatever it is that you're doing. One of the issues I was having before, let's see if it'll do it with this one, that if you have the letters too close together, you can kind of see where the O, make this a little bit bigger so you can see it a little better, where the O kind of is not the same as it should be because it was too close together. Sometimes it will completely fill this in, or completely fill this in depending on how you did it. If that happens, you just go back in like I had it before whenever I first started, and you just make sure all this stuff is together, hit weld, and that will make sure that whenever you go to print it, all of the letters are connected, as opposed to having the letters cut out individually. So I'm going to save this Disney font real quick. And then back in here, so obviously new brings you to a new project. Templates over here on the left side, we'll just go down the left side and kind of go through. These do not cut or print out whenever you're using them. But say I wanted to make, let's say, a t-shirt. Or, yeah, say I'm going to make a maternity shirt for my pregnant friend or something, and it kind of tells you up here, templates are for reference only and will not be saved with your project. So this is kind of so that you can see, like, oh, I want to take a picture, and I'm, going to put a picture right in the middle of the t-shirt. I want to see what that's going to look like. That's going to kind of be there like that. Projects over here brings you into all of the different category to projects, and then Cricut Access, again, if you have Cricut Access, there's so many more things on here that you can get into. I stopped using Cricut Access because I have learned so much over the past few years that I'm able to make most of this stuff on my own anyway. But it is definitely helpful, especially when you first start to have the Cricut Access, so that you can go through and look at all the things they have. They do have a couple of things that are free regardless of access. Stuff like this is kind of neat, the watercolor, and you just kind of click on it and then hit customize, We're going to replace this because that was for that other thing I had. And this kind of shows you what you need to do, and then you just, when you hit make it, it'll take you in and tell you what to put in there. I don't know why that changed my canvas. I'm going to show you guys how to do this again real quick. Go into your canvas. I want no grid. Done. So that's what that project would look like that I had just clicked on in projects. So the nice thing about this is you can kind of search like, hey, it's fall right now. I'm just going to look and see if there's anything fall. And these, oh my gosh, these are so cute. These are the kind of things like I could probably figure out how to make this on my own at this point because it's been so long. But if I had Cricut access, it would make it so much easier because I would just grab it. But you go into free. There's nothing free for fall. And then you can kind of go through all the different Explore Air, like these cute little bags that you could get, or free for Cricut Explore Air 2, which I have a 2, so I'd be able to get that. But I don't want to do any of that right now, so I'm just going to go back to a new one. Shapes, again, Cricut Access, awesome. You have all these cute things. The fun thing is, and I'll show you how to do this in a little while, most of these things you can just get online. I actually have, I think, these two things. I have hearts, I have moons that I have already downloaded from the internet, and I just use those. But these are the ones that are all free that you can use for anything. And the cool thing is, again, with like the weld, and I actually did this with something that I was using before, I kind of took these pieces and put them together. And then, you know, you take, let's see, we're going to take this one and just make sure that they're about the same size. So I think this is a 2, it's a 2. If I move this away, and I move this away, and I put this right in the middle, okay. And then another cool thing you can do when you're trying to do something like this, where you want it to all be attached and be one piece, you can kind of collect all of it. And then if you go up here to align, and do align top, that puts all of them together in the same area, and because they're all the same height, it kind of works out. And if you hit weld over here, then you have a whole shape that you made on your own, so you don't have to go in and buy new shapes or find those shapes or whatever. And I'll go through this stuff up here at the top too at some point as well. Images, again, there's a ton of different things that need to be paid for. There's stuff that doesn't. These ones are free. The other cool thing is if you come down to ownership, anything that you have purchased, anything that you have uploaded will all come into here, along with all the free stuff, because you just clicked on free up here. And then so you've got all that stuff. I want to look for a pumpkin, so I'm just going to type in pumpkin, and you have all these options for pumpkins. And it'll kind of tell you, like, these ones are free, this I uploaded on my own, this I purchased at some point. There's a couple of others, like I uploaded these things. We're going to clear all these filters and kind of see what these other things are here. So I don't have anything saved in here. The operation type, if you're wanting to cut something, if you're wanting to draw something, if you're wanting to print and cut, or cut and draw. So this is kind of, a lot of this stuff is kind of self-explanatory. So this will kind of bring up, like, we're going to go back into free, just because I kind of want to look through this while I'm doing it. So if I want something that's cut only, cool, now I can go and see that, like, I can cut these things and they won't cut out wrong. If I want something that's draw only, they don't have any that's draw only that are there, so we're just gonna search for anything that's draw only and free. These things draw. This is kind of a cute little middle piece. These can be drawn, that kind of stuff. Print then cut, these are usually pictures such as this. These are kind of nice if you're wanting to make like stickers, or I see these are kind of like gift tags that you would print them out and then they'll cut and you can just use them as gift tags. And the nice thing is I'm going to save some of these because they're kind of cute. If you just have a regular printer, these print and cuts, you can use cardstock in that, so you can use a thicker paper to be able to make things like these tags, or if you're wanting to make like name tags or whatever, something like that, this made with love, that's kind of cute, then you can use cardstock and it'll be a little thicker. And then you've got this cut and draw, where it'll cut out kind of like the main piece, and then it'll draw the pieces on the inside. These are kind of cool. They've got a whole bunch of stuff like this, and then you've these kind of things that you can like slide in to make like cards or whatever, or like a gift card or something, and like put a different color on the back or whatever. So those are kind of cool, and I think I might save this one because it's time for me to start making Christmas stuff. So then you come down here, we've got layers. If you just want single layers, this will just cut out one layer of something. If you're wanting multi-layer, that is usually 2 layers, so this would cut out this back piece and then this inside piece. Stuff like this, it'll bring up, you know, cards and stuff like that where you're cutting 2 different layers. These can be used as 2 different layers because it's, you know, cut and print, or, you know, print and cut, or cut and draw, or I would imagine you could change the drawing part of it to cut. I don't know how well it would cut out, but it could work. This has like different layers that need to be cut out, that kind of thing. So that's what you get with multi-layer. And you can put as many of these things on there as you want when you're looking through. This shows like different kinds of things that you can use. This is for like watercolor markers. So like that one that I had grabbed earlier, I think was for watercolor markers with the hot air balloon. So I don't actually have watercolor markers. I think those are probably pretty cool, but I've never used them, so I don't know. Stencils are pretty cool. I don't have, apparently there's no free ones in here, so we're just going to click on that. So this will kind of bring up whatever stencils that are options. So here's like a fall stencil or whatever. And I might do a different, I won't do it in this one because it would be forever long because it takes a little while to do it, but you could look it up really if you wanted to, that there are ways to make your own stencils really. You just basically cut stuff out in a certain way and it'll work out. I'm still working on learning how to do those a little better, but these are some 3D projects. So like this is really pretty. I think basically it would cut out each piece separately, and here I'll click on it because you can add it to the canvas without having to pay for it, and just so I can show you. So it's just got like the different pieces, and you kind of pull, you can like ungroup it if you want, pull the pieces apart and kind of see how they are. I actually did make a teacup thing once that is kind of similar to this, that was like in a frame or whatever, and this is kind of the different pieces, and then once you cut out all of the pieces, you just put them together, whether, you know, you can use cardstock and glue them together, or use vinyl and put them together, or, you know, cardstock with adhesive on the back, or whatever you would want to be able to stick it together. If it's, this one looks like it's only got, what, 5 pieces here, you could really, you could use like a thick double-sided tape and make it be kind of like a real 3D, you know, really 3D, instead of just putting them together or whatever. I'm going to click new so it doesn't think that I'm trying to use that, because I'm not going to pay for it. And then go back into images, click and browse all. We don't necessarily have to do that. You can, you know, do all of the images or whatever, but you know, that kind of thing. You can look for cards. They've got all kinds of cool little gift cards and stuff in here. See if they've got anything for free. Free is always nice. If you don't have to pay for it, that's good. These are good for if you want to make a card and then you want to put something on the front of it. You can kind of take this and then attach it as a cut file to another card. So I wonder, and also you can add 2 things, 3 things, as many things as you want all together onto there. That's access, so I'm not gonna, well, it says free, I don't know, we'll see. Kind of add these things to the canvas and see how they go. So this is very large. Let me get this down a little bit smaller. Sometimes when you put stuff on there, it'll look really big. You just gotta go up there and change the size. This one is really cute over here, and you can kind of see it attached itself. So like these are the This is how you would make the envelope, this is how you would make the card, and there's like 2 pieces to this, so if you ungroup it, ungrouping is really helpful in these kinds of things, and you kind of pull it down, you can see this is just a piece of paper that's going to go behind here whenever you put it all together after you cut it out, and so that's kind of cool. These kind of things are really cute, and you can see on this one that it has these little cut lines just like I did with this one. So with this one, if you were wanting to do that for a card like this, you could just, just make sure that it's the right size for the card. Say this is the front of the card. We're going to ungroup this, take this little piece and kind of set it here so that you'll know, okay, like that piece is going to be too big, so you can kind of make it smaller to make sure it's going to fit into these little slots or whatever, kind of like that. Probably still a little too small. Whoops. Let's see if we can get this piece in the... Sometimes I have a hard time grabbing the right thing. You gotta kind of move stuff out of the way and then come back to it. But yeah, something kind of like this. So then whenever you would print it out, this piece in the middle would slide right into these little slots because these are a cut. And instead of cutting out like a whole big chunk of it, it's just going to cut out these little slits for you to be able to put that in. So that's kind of cool. I've always liked those kinds of cards because I think it looks nice to have the different sides there. So then back into images, browse all materials. And then you've got phrases, which is kind of cool. That's just different words or whatever. This is for like mugs, larger mugs, that kind of stuff. So that's what the project types are for. Material, again, kind of self-explanatory. If you're using chipboard, use this. These are actually pretty cool. You wouldn't necessarily have to use chipboard if you were doing that, but it probably would be more sustainable. And the cool thing about these is that you can either print them out, or not print them out, but like cut them out and make your own, draw your own picture and then cut them out, or print something onto them and then cut them out this way. And that would be a good way to make your own little puzzles or whatever. But yeah, you just kind of basically figure out what it is that you're wanting to use and then click on that material and it'll bring up anything on here. I'm waving my hand like you can see what I'm doing, so that you can kind of see like what your options are. This is kind of like just like whatever kind of vinyl you have. They've always got like really nice stuff. Sticker paper is a lot of fun to use because you can literally make stickers. With the stickers, I have actually found too, if you're doing a print and cut, like something like these, or even if you're doing this and you're wanting to use something that is not necessarily like shiny vinyl, you can use transfer paper, which I never use Cricut transfer paper because it's so expensive. I just get the stuff that's like at Walmart, and it's smooth, it's flat, and it's completely clear. There's no writing on it, so when you put it over something, you can't see the transfer paper. And I get it like over in like the home stuff, like where they have the cans and stuff or whatever, the pots and pans, stuff like that, and that looks really nice when you put it over something like this, to be able to make a shiny sticker without having to use vinyl. So that's kind of cool. Or even just using like the sticker paper, you put it over the sticker paper and that looks really nice too. Language, obviously, another self-explanatory if you're looking for something that's in a specific language. This one's kind of cool because it will actually give you these kinds of things. I do actually, I'm not necessarily fluent in ASL, but I do know a good bit of it, and I can tell you that this says love, so do these two. These look like, they look to be letters. This says ASL, so this is kind of a cool thing. And then if you're looking for something particular, and because I know that this is an option, that'll kind of tell you what your options are here. So the rest of them, I would imagine, have the same kind of thing where it's just in that language instead. Ownership, again, purchasing and uploading, so anything that you've purchased, anything you've uploaded, that's going to come up in there. Oops, trying to click the next one down. Available offline, these are downloads, so anything that has been uploaded already, basically, I think is kind of where that's coming from, or anything that was downloaded online specifically for this, available offline. Licensed content. This is stuff, I mean, you're going to have to pay for it unless you're going to try and look for it yourself and do it on your own. They usually frown upon doing stuff like this and then having somebody pay for it if you did not pay for it. And then if you are looking for a specific creator, contributing artist program, this is, I believe, where, you can see down here, other people that have, that use Crickets will put their stuff online. They'll make something nice and they'll put it online. Or you've got this, which is Cricut, and this is made by Cricut. So that's basically that whole thing, all in images. Images are super easy to figure out because, again, most of it is self-explanatory, but it's kind of fun to look through and look at all the different things that they have. And then if you go back up here, this brings you back to where we started at. Sorry, I'm talking so fast. I want to get all this in here and not have a 5-hour-long video for you, but this, you can kind of come over here and see there's different brands, there's different themes. If you're specifically looking for cards, but you want to look for a specific kind of card, instead of typing cards up here, you would click cards here, and then up in that search box type, what type of card you're looking for, kind of thing. And then over here again, free, just gives you all the free stuff, which is really nice. Hey Jumper, the dog just came downstairs, so that's nice. We talked about text earlier. Phrases is basically the same thing that we just did with pictures, but it's all words instead of pictures. Upload is where you go to upload things. This is where I have like some of my stuff uploaded. It saves, some of the stuff down here as you put it in, but you're basically going to hit upload image, you're going to click browse, and then you're going to go in and pick what you want. I have my stuff, again, I have it set up so that I have like everything in its place. It is fall right now, so say I wanted to do a picture and I want it to print and cut, I'm going to do this. I always hit complex, even if it's super simple, I always hit complex, because sometimes when you hit this one, see, it'll kind of change so that it doesn't look the same, and I want it to look as nice as it does in the original picture. So I always hit complex. If you're putting a picture in here and it's not an SVG, when you hit continue, it will bring you to this. This is where you can kind of change things if you need to. So I see there's like a little thing in here from the picture that I was doing, and I don't want that to be there. The background has really technically already been removed, but it'll kind of automatically do that. But say I want to get rid of this piece here, I'm just going to do kind of one of these things. There's not really an actual background here, but the only thing that sucks if I kind of remove that is then we'll end up with this. And that's what it's going to look like whenever you cut it without printing it. Or if you print it and then cut it, it's going to look like that. So say I don't want to do that because I want it to be fixed. You can hit restore or hit this button, and that'll just kind of bring it back. When you're done with this, there's also the option to crop. You could crop it out, but again, it'll do the same thing. So then you hit apply and continue. Now pay attention on this part, because if you are looking to cut out this image, you're going to have to turn it into an SVG first, or remove the background, which I can show you how to do, because otherwise this is what it's going to look like when you cut it out before printing it. Clicking on this one and then clicking upload will allow you to print out this picture and then cut it once you've printed it. So that will, once you hit the upload, that'll bring it into here, and then you just click on it, and then that automatically takes it into, when you click on images and uploaded, it will bring up all of the pictures that you have ever uploaded. Pattern fill is kind of cool. I've done a couple of those. You're going to want to upload the pattern, click browse, and again do kind of the same thing. Again, I have this same, we'll go with this because I think these are pretty cool. I'll just click this one because I haven't put that in there yet. This is a just distressed golden bee digital paper, which I bought online, I think, or downloaded for free online. There's quite a few digital papers that are free online. And the cool thing about putting this in as a pattern is that you can either use it as a pattern or you can use it as a picture to cut and print and cut or whatever. So it says that it was uploaded successfully, and I'm gonna go back into my project here. No, I don't want text. So see, that's uploaded there, so you can use that as a print and cut. If I hit cancel, it's going to bring me in here. Or I can take this shape and say, I want this shape to be here. And instead of cutting it out, I want to print and cut it. And I want to have a pattern instead of a color. So I'm going to click pattern. This is going to bring all of the patterns up that you have an option of doing. I have some patterns that I have already put in here before. These ones are ones that I've put in. If you click on filter, it'll kind of give you the option to pick different colors or whatever. So it does kind of suck. You have to kind of go through and see where the pattern is that you recently put in. Should usually be at the top. I'm wondering if it just hasn't come up on here. You just click on whatever pattern you're wanting. And it should pull up on here. My computer is just being very slow. I'm not sure why it's doing that. So either way, whenever you click on one, and again, maybe it's just because of, we'll see if it'll do it a little faster if I do it this way. Click on one that I already have up here. Well, maybe it just takes a little bit of time. But that pattern should come up onto the circle. So whenever I go to print and cut, it will print out that pattern that I've chosen, and then it will cut the circle. And you can use any shape to do that with. If I wanted to make a leaf that had that pattern in it, I could do that. But it's taking too long, so I'm not going to worry about that right now because I'm not actually going to print and cut it. But that is something that you can do if you're wanting to. So we'll go with the stuff up at the top now. This is kind of self-explanatory. You can select everything, you can select just the one thing. Obviously, if you want to select just one thing, you can either click it over here, you can click it over here. We're going to make this a little bit smaller for the sake of, I don't want to have to mess with it that much. I like to make stuff two different colors if I'm going to layer it. So let's see, we're going to make this a little bit smaller. You can select two things. If you want to select them from here, you have to hold shift, which I'm pushing shift right now, and then click here. That'll collect both of them. Over here, you have to click control and then click the next thing, and that will collect both of them together. If you're trying to collect multiple things at once, you just grab all the things like that, and that works as well. If you're wanting to cut these things, if you're wanting to copy them so you can paste them elsewhere, if you're wanting to duplicate them, and I have a tendency of just using these. I don't usually get in here to do all this stuff. I just, Control X, Control C, Control V, Control D. Super easy stuff. And again, Control Z will go back. That's this button right here. And then, so we've got offset here. This kind of changes the way that things are as far as whatever distance or whatever. But I'm going to cancel that because I don't necessarily need it to do that. So we're just going to cancel that. And then again, whoops, wrong button. There we go. If you want to align things, you can align them in so many ways. You can center them. This puts everything, together in the center. You can align them to the left, you can align them to the right. Another cool thing if you're wanting, and that's kind of cool, if you center them properly, you can kind of see like resizing this a little bit or whatever, and center it to the right side. You could make a crescent moon or whatever. So I'm going to kind of duplicate this just to show one last thing here. We're going to copy all these things. This kind of thing is cool. I want to distribute it both ways so it's evenly distributed on both sides, and it's evenly distributed throughout. If I'm wanting to align them all to the left, they would all go to the left, and then again, if I'm wanting to distribute them horizontally, you kind of have to pull them apart or whatever, and that'll do it horizontally. Or you can have them all up, the same at the top, the same at the bottom, the same at the left, the same at the right, whatever, all just by clicking align and doing align. This, again, is another, you can either use shift, control, whatever, or you can get the same thing by just clicking this. So this is basically just so you can send it to the back, send it to the, you know, one step back, one step forward, whatever. This over here also does the same thing. So if I'm wanting this to go the whole way to the back, I would just do this. And if you put these things this way, you can kind of see this is in the front, it's also on the top. This is in the middle, it's also in the middle. This is in the back, it's also at the bottom. And you can do that. You could have 30 things on here and do that same thing to kind of put it, you know, if I'm wanting to make a 3D thing or whatever. We're going to switch to triangles here so I can kind of show a little bit more stuff. So we've got a triangle here. I want this to be upside down. I'm going to flip it vertically. If I want it to be sideways, I'm going to flip it horizontal. Obviously, you can't really do that with this one. If you do just want to flip it a certain degrees, you do it that way. And then say, oh hey, like I did it 90 degrees, but I wanted it facing the other way, you're going to flip it horizontally. Again, a lot of just self-explanatory. These can go up and down, or you can drag and pull. I'm going to put this back at 0. And you can also do it different sizes, which again, you can do the drag and pull if you're wanting something bigger, wider, smaller, or you can change these by just typing in whatever you're wanting, and it'll kind of do whatever you're wanting to do. The rotate I just showed you, it just kind of rotates it however much. You can also, if you can get it in the right spot, you can kind of see up here in the right corner of my box that it has kind of an arrow that's got a bit of a curve to it. You can grab that and kind of pull it around and put it wherever you want it to be. This is the position that it's in. I always start with 0.25 and 0.25 because that kind of puts it like at the top without being too far at the top to where you can't see or do anything. I've never used monogram down here. I believe you have to pay for it, if I'm not mistaken. These are for notifications. I don't get notifications very often on here. This takes you into your projects, obviously, which is basically the same thing as doing this and then clicking on My Projects up at the top. This will just take you directly into your projects instead of all of the projects. This saves it when you're done, and this will take you into making it. So let's pretend we're going to make something real quick. Over here too, if you've got multiple things, so first of all, we can duplicate it. Now I have multiple things. I want these two things to stay together, but I don't want them to cut out together. I can group them. And then if I decide that I don't want them to stay together because I need to move something over, I can ungroup them. And then I can kind of move this over. I showed you weld down there. You also have the option of slicing. This will literally slice to look however you put it together. So now you have got all of these different pieces. And then Control Z will bring all of those pieces together. The only way to unslice something is either to weld it back together or to Control Z until it's back together. So if you're going to slice something, make sure that you're doing it right the first time, and don't try to move on until after that, or you'll have to go back a bunch of times. And I've had to do it so many times, I can't even tell you, even recently when I've been doing this for years and years and years. Showed you weld earlier, that just kind of puts the two things together. If you're wanting two things to cut out together, but you are not wanting them to be welded, you can attach them, even if it's just a matter you can also detach them, obviously. If you're just wanting these two things, hey, I want these to be aligned at the top, and I want them to cut out just like that, you can attach them and they will do just like that. Flatten makes it so that they are print and cut. I will duplicate and do a print and cut so we can see how that works as well. So now that this is flattened, it's going to print out this way. It's going to be that exact same color, that exact same shape, everything, and then whenever it's cut out, that's what it's going to look like. Up in here, you can pen. When you pen something that has, which pen is for drawing, if you're doing something like that, that is a filled-in box or a silhouette, like something like this, whenever you click it, it will make it an outline. There is no way to fill it in unless you're going to fill it in yourself. I have tried a million different ways, unless you make a size smaller of each one and have it pen each and every one of them, which would probably take forever and drive me insane, so I'm not going to ever do it. And then The foil, you have to have a special like a scoring tool of some sort, not just a regular scoring tool. It's like a special scoring tool specifically for foil. It's actually really, really neat to use if you ever get the chance to use it. You should definitely check it out, but you have to like buy all the stuff that comes with it. And it works pretty much the same as scoring, where it tells you what to put in and where to do it. And again, at some point I can make a video with all of the information about that, but I'm not going to add it to this one because it takes a good while. Scoring will always make it look dotted like this. That is actually, it's not going to look like that whenever it scores. It will actually score the entire thing, but it's dotted like that, or dashed, I guess I should say, like that, just to kind of show you that that's not going to be drawn and it's not going to be cut, it's going to be scored. That's good for whenever you're wanting to make a card. You can kind of, this shapes in here. This is actually a score line. You can absolutely use this to draw, and you can use it to cut. It's kind of neat if you're trying to do one of those cards I was showing you about earlier and you're just wanting to cut slits. You can use this as a cut instead of a score, and it works really cool to be able to make a card. It like makes it a lot easier. So if we were going to just cut this and we wanted to also score it, we could kind of do this. I know that this is 1.903 in height, so I want to change this to the same thing. And then again, I can kind of grab these, and I want to align this. We'll say we're going to align it to the bottom. I don't want to do the center because it will put it right in the middle of this instead. Looks a little bit off. If I do it like that, it's kind of right in the middle there. I don't think I've ever used this before. I think that just kind of tells you like where it's going or whatever. So there's all of that. So when you go to make something and you click make it, it's always going to, it only sometimes asks about this. If you're making a card, I think whenever you score things like that, it'll ask about making cards, or if you're wanting to manually select it for each one. But we're going to hit confirm. So this is obviously, the print and cut is always going to come first. This is obviously at the print and cut because it's, saying this over here and showing you here. It's very rare that you're going to use an 8.3 by 11.7. It's almost always 8.5 by 11. And it's never going to be anything other than those two options because those are the only two options you have when using a regular printer. If you're wanting it to be backwards, you hit mirror. If you don't click mirror. Oh, and I did not. See, here's another thing where you have to kind of pay attention to what you're doing. This is my scoring that I did not attach to anything, and it's not supposed to be on the print and cut. It's actually supposed to be on the other one. So we're going to move this object. This is a really cool thing you can do, that when you're in here, if you're like, oh man, like I didn't want that there, I want this on another sheet, you can move it. Just click wherever you're wanting it. Obviously this is making me not do it because it thinks it's a print and cut, and then you would click on wherever you wanted it to be. Or you can also click it and put hide selected. That will just delete it from there altogether so you don't have to use it at all. And then whenever you have a basic cut, again, I'm going to put it on a regular mat, so it just says on mat. And I could put it on any size, really, any size would work because it's not a very big thing. If I was scoring, it would say score and then basic cut because it's always going to score first. It cuts after it scores. So I think that's about it for in the actual Cricut design space. So I'll show you a couple of other things that can be done. Get out of here. Something I like to do is making, just regular stickers or whatever. So say I want to make a sticker of a mushroom and I just want it to be a plain vinyl one color sticker. I usually will look up some type of silhouette. So say I want it to be a mushroom, I'm going to look up mushroom silhouette. I always click on images. Obviously you don't have to do it that way. I love this picture, but it has to be a print and cut, which sucks. So say I want something that looks like this. I am just going to click on it. I'm going to save it, save image as. Sometimes when you do that, it will come up here and say web something or other. I will show you how to get around that. So here I would just save it into whatever file I want to save it into. I'm just going to save it down here in my Cricut. We're just going to say mushroom. Whoops, if I can learn how to spell today. And then there's so many different ways that we can do this. Let's do one of these. So this, usually if it's something like this where it's on eBay, that's usually when it will try to save as like a web. So if I come in here and I put save image as, it did not work. Let's see if we can find one that actually does. I don't know. Usually with Etsy it'll do it. I think it just depends on the person that does it. Yeah, so down here, WEBP file. If it comes up and says that you can't save it as a picture because it won't save as a picture and it won't come up as a picture. My way of getting around that, if I want something like this, I'm going to do copy image, and then I'm going to go into Paint, which most people automatically have on their computer. I just put mine down at the bottom here so I could find it. If you don't know how to find things in your computer, most computers nowadays have this little search bar. If you just click on the search bar, it'll bring that up and you just click in Paint. Again, almost every single thing every computer since I was a child has always had Paint on there. So you just pull up your Paint. You're gonna paste, which is Control V. It comes up like this. Now I can go in, File, Save As, and then go to JPEG. And again, I'm just going to put this, I'm going to put colored mushroom because I want it to be different from my other one. And I'm going to save that. And then I don't need to in that anymore. So if I want to take this black and white picture and I want to turn it into an SVG so that I can just print out this picture here as an SVG, like a vinyl sticker or whatever. There's a few different places you can do that, but my favorite one is svgcreator.com. That's svgcreator.com up here in this top left. This one is really simple. You just click on here, go to where that image is that you want, that I put down at the bottom. We're going to start with mushroom. This I think only works, you hit convert file, it only works with black and white images if I'm not mistaken. I've tried it with some other colors and it hasn't worked very well. That's an ad, I'm going to get out of that. And it'll just come up, this is the original picture and this is the final picture. So that is, I would basically download that as an SVG, and then when I pull it up into my Cricut it will come up as an SVG, where this would be black and this would just be cut out, I do believe. So we'll check. So now this is an SVG, we're just going to put mushroom, and then you come down here, you can convert another one, and I will show you what happens if you try to put colored images in here. It does not work out very well, but there are other ways to do that. We'll say colored mushroom. And again, you just click convert file. Sometimes there will be ads that pop up. You don't have to look at them. So this kind of just did the outline of it. If you're wanting to draw something, like if you want to just draw the outline of these mushrooms, this would work out perfectly. So we could put like drawing mushrooms. And that would be just the same. There's another one called picsvg.com, picsvg.com. Again, you upload the picture. I haven't tried any colored ones here, so we'll see how that works out on here. And when you come down here, see this again does the outline. The cool thing is with this one, you can do just the edges. There's a few different options for you here. Some of them kind of look the same or whatever, or you can do the internal. That obviously didn't work because of the colors. But so if I wanted to do one that was black and white, just the regular mushroom, come down here. Sometimes it takes a minute, or sometimes it doesn't work at all, which is why I prefer to use the SVG Creator. Let's see if I can just find a random black and white that might work here. This one's kind of cute. I like this one with the little elephant. So this kind of did the outline of it or whatever, but if you come in here and do internal, that will color the internal of it. With these ones, it's a bit more difficult, and I'm going to show you again how to get around that. It's the same way that you get around doing the colored. Because of the tails being so small, it's very difficult to turn that into an SVG using this type of SVG converter. But there are hundreds of SVG converters. If you literally just type in your Google search SVG converter or SVG creator or whatever up at the top there, and it will bring up just all these different ones. Some of them are free, some of them are not, some of them work better than others, some of them work better for certain things than others or whatever. It kind of just is however you do it. So the way that I get around with having to put the picture into Paint instead of just saving it regularly or doing different colored ones or whatever is I have a thing called Inkscape, Inkscape. It says it right up here. I downloaded this on my computer for free. I haven't had to pay to do anything on it. It's been completely free. Some of it is a little confusing. I haven't learned how to use all of this stuff. But basically what you're going to do, Control I in this is how you import something. So I'm going to go into my Cricut, because down at the bottom of Cricut we did the colored mushroom. With this colored mushroom, you can see over here, because I'm just doing the regular color, and you'll have to go into, I want to say it's Path. Yeah, so if you go into Path and click Trace Bitmap, that will bring up this thing over here, which is what I've been using. And then I always, with something that's colored, start at 9, and that kind of made it there perfectly. And it'll show you down here what the preview is. So if you're just trying to take a normal colored picture and turn it into a black and white SVG, this is the best way to do it. It'll say brightness cutoff 0.9. Sometimes you can go a little higher, but if you go up too high, it'll black out the whole thing. And then I usually just leave this stuff all the way that it is. I haven't really had to mess with any of this stuff to be able to do anything. And then when you click on apply down here, it's going to bring this up. You just kind of move this out of the way and get rid of this. Now when I save this, this is going to save as just a regular SVG. The cool thing with this one though, if you want to, you can kind of add colors into it. Say I wanted to make this be red for the outline, and I wanted the rest of it to all be white. I would just, you have to kind of click off of it so that it's not doing anything there. Click on this, choose what color you're wanting. I'm wanting white, and you're going to click all of the white spots. You can kind of see where it's going around there to make sure that you know that it's actually working. Sometimes you got to be kind of careful clicking all of them. What sucks is you have to do every single one of them one at a time, but because there's no background in it, that's kind of how that would work. Okay, so then you're going to click on this arrow up here, and you're going to want to go, sometimes you can zoom in with this. That makes it a little easier to get these little spots like this. You're going to hit Control, you're going to hit Shift, and you're going to click all of the white spots that you just colored in, and you'll kind of see it moving with you as you go. Let me get these all clicked on here. And this is kind of cool if you're wanting to do a 3D image. Now the trick to this is you have to make sure that you go into Path once you've collected all of these pieces, and sometimes you'll have multiple different colors. You'll have to collect each color separately. So you'll go into all of them, and you're gonna either click Control plus, or you're just gonna click on Union here. That puts all of those pieces together. And then once you're done with all of that, you're going to click on the outline of the whole image. So this whole image has to be collected. There's a couple of other videos on YouTube that I found that show you how to do this exact same thing in a lot more detail. And then you're going to kind of go in here to Path, and you're going to hit break apart, which sounds silly, but it has to be done, and then click union, and that puts those together into different pieces. So I'm going to show you how that works. We're going to save that as, and again, just going to go in and put that in here as SVG of the colored mushroom. Okay, now if you are wanting to take a picture and to get a little bit more intricate, I won't save this one and go all above and beyond, but say you've got a picture that is has multiple colors, something like this, and you want to make it be different colors, and you want all of those colors to be there, you're going to go into multicolor. Make sure you do this step or it will not turn out right. As you can see at my preview there, you're going to change it to colors. If you only have, like say this grayish color wasn't there and you only had regular colors, this would look so much better. You're always going to want to put smooth, you're always going to want to put stack, and you're always going to want to put remove background. It looks a little fuzzy there, so I'm not sure if that's because I don't have this high enough or if I don't have it low enough. You got to kind of mess around with stuff. It might have been the smooth part that messed that up, or it might have been the remove background. I'm not sure. But you're basically going to want to, there we go. Okay, so you're going to, I always start down at the lowest number and kind of move up until you see what you're wanting to see. We'll just have it at this for now. And then you hit apply. You're going to pull this apart. This is the original. This is the new one that you just made. And again, when you don't have shadows and extra colors and you just have a couple of colors, it's a lot easier. And then if you're wanting to see the different pieces, you can go in and ungroup here, and when you ungroup it, that's going to make it, then you have to click away from it. You can pull all of the pieces apart and kind of see what's what. Unfortunately, I don't know how to make it be to where, you know, the back one is black and the rest of them are not. This one you really could get rid of. You don't really need it. You probably don't really need this one either. So that's kind of that. I'm going to Control Z until I get back to my original. Another option, if you're wanting to do colors, you go into the single scan, click on your thing, kind of go down to a lower number there, and then kind of move up until you're seeing that you've got a thick background but not all the extra colors, and apply it. Now you have just the background image of this colored picture. You can delete that, or if you want those exact same colors, you can click this piece here, this little dropper, click on the color that you want, click on the paint bucket, and you can color in each piece, and then just do like I did before with the Control plus or union on each piece, and do it that way. So those are kind of neat little things. Again, with Inkscape, there's a bunch of different YouTube videos and tutorials and everything else all over the internet that can teach you different things to do on that. I'm still kind of learning that one because I just recently got it. But we're going to come in here, and I'm going to show you how I did those couple of things, and then I think we're going to be done with this video. So we went into Cricut, we did the colored mushroom. This has the different colors here. We're going to upload this, and then again, you can do multiple pictures at one time. So I'm going to get into my Cricut. We're going to do the drawing mushrooms, and we're going to upload that, and then we're going to go one more time, get into my files here, and just click on the regular mushroom that we just switched right over. Actually, I think there's one more thing I'm going to show you before we get out of here, because I just remembered. So I'm choosing all of these things. I want to add all of these things to my canvas. Again, they might come on there a little bigger than we want them to be. So I'm just going to always want to make sure that if you're trying to keep it proportionate, you lock the proportions. Sometimes you have to click it twice. And I'm just going to kind of bring it down to a 6 here, so that it's not quite so big. So again, this one, I was just wanting to draw it, so I could just put in pen. That's what it's going to look like when it's drawn. If you're wanting it bigger, either use a thicker marker, or you're going to have to color in the inside, or again, if you wanted to sit there and try to figure out a way to make a smaller version of it to fit it in there, you could do that too. That just sounds like a lot to me. I don't know why this kind of got a little messed up on the edges here, but it doesn't matter because I'm not actually going to use it. But with this, again, come over here and you ungroup it, and then you have these white pieces that you can kind of take out separately. Or you can keep them, whoops, I don't want to group that into it. You can keep them grouped. And if you're wanting to draw these all out, again, you could pen them, and it would be kind of the same thing as this. It's going to look a little bit different, but it would still work. So I'm getting rid of these ones because I don't really need those. And then this is, you know, obviously the same thing. The other cool thing about this, because I haven't showed you how to use contour, if you want to duplicate this so that you can have another piece behind it, make a layered whatever, hide all contours, we'll get rid of all of the cut options and just leave your back part here. So if you're wanting this to be red, and you're wanting this to be white, and you don't mind it being two layers that are like that, you can do that. Oops, and then, you know, again over here, switch it up to the top so that it's like that, and you would just align it because it's the same exact picture. So you would get two cutouts there, you just align them when you get them cut out, and that's what it would look like. The other thing is, if you're wanting to maybe have this mushroom be black, and you're only wanting some of the contours from this one, you could go in and kind of pick and choose. You can either do it over here, like, oh, I don't want this one, and I don't want this one over here. And you can go, again, align these the way that you're wanting them aligned. This one just kind of centers them completely. And if you slice them, again, that gives you these sliced the way that you're wanting them, so that you can have two of the same exact thing, or you can, you know, do it because, you know, if you just want to have the spots, and have the spots be white so you can put them on top or whatever. So that's kind of how that works. And then one more little thing I want to show you before I get done with this is for removing backgrounds of pictures. So every picture that you download, remove.bg is the best place to get rid of the background on the picture. Every picture that you download, even if it looks like there's no background, like we did with this mushroom here. The mushroom was just a plain black picture with a white background. That background is white. It's not transparent. So this takes it and makes it so that it's transparent. Now, if you wanted to do a print and cut with something like this, you can bring it into remove.bg. It will bring up this picture and you can edit it. So if we want to edit, you're just going to click edit and then say, I want these pictures here to still be colored because I want them to be white. You can kind of make this as big as you need to and just restore these pieces here, and then say, oh, I want it to look like there's like a little piece missing out of the bottom of it. We're going to kind of just do one of these things so there's a little piece missing out of the bottom. And then I would just save that, and that's how it would go into, but it saves as a picture, so this would be like a print and cut rather than just being a cutout. If you did cut this out, it would cut out the actual picture and these pieces would still be filled in, so it would not be cut. But if you cut something like this as a print and cut, it will cut out this image instead of cutting out a square, which is what will happen if you don't remove the background first. Again, these things can all be a little tricky depending on what it is you're using. The more intricate something is, the more difficult it's going to be. I think that's kind of an obvious. But that's kind of like the basics of everything when it comes to working in here and a couple of different places that you can go. If I can figure out how to do it, because I haven't done a whole lot of YouTube videos, I will add those websites that I told you about into the comment section or whatever in the description of my video. So I hope this is helpful, and if you have any questions, let me know.